Okay, so the first card you have your presence, the Hermit. Yeah, this is a little bit of what I'm seeing in the Three of Cups. This is interesting that this is here. You kind of know where you're going now externally. You have that focus. There's a lot of restlessness around you, though. That's what I'm feeling here. A lot of restlessness inside you. Now, again, I think you might be trying to fix that by maybe thinking things like, oh, once I have this object, once I have this thing, once I've achieved this amount of success, once I have this, or once I'm in this place, or whatever it is, I'll feel much better. Now, I don't know if this is going to make sense, but I'll try and say this in a way that I hope it does. The destination you're trying to get to, the thing that you want, even though you might not realize this, or you might kind of have some idea of this because you are going through this process, it's an internal destination. It's an internal thing. It's a spiritual destination. That's where you're trying to get to, whether you realize it or not. So I don't necessarily mean that it has anything to do with religion. It's a very personal thing. Each individual finds this in their own unique way. They find this kind of inner spiritual destination in some way. Some people do find it in organized religion. Some people don't. Some people find it by there are a million different ways you can do that, because more than a million, because your way is your individual way that suits you. Now, Aries, usually they can be people of action, which is fantastic. They get a lot done. But sometimes people can create a lot of action, a lot of activities, a lot of things, and that kind of masks how they're feeling internally. And quite often, the world tells us that our self-worth is all about what we have. If we have this house, if we have this car, if we have this thing, if we have whatever. And it's not about that at all. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with going after those things if that's what you want to do. I do not have a problem with that at all. A lot of spiritual people will say, oh, that's not what you should be after. I'm not about that. But if you do go after those things, they have to come from what's happening in you internally. So if you get yourself right internally, if everything's right internally, what you want comes from that. Sometimes houses and cars and all of that stuff comes from that. Quite often when you do find your peace internally, you'll find that what you want changes, and it isn't those things. Everyone should have a certain amount of comfort. Everyone has the right to have whatever they like. That's absolutely fine. I have no problem with that. But I think sometimes when you do go into that spiritual find that spiritual place inside yourself, quite often the focus of what people want outside of that does change. Sometimes it doesn't. That's absolutely fine. Each person's different. But what this hermit is doing, he's getting that time to himself. He's probably meditating. He's thinking very carefully. He's concentrating on what's going on the inside. And I think a lot of people are probably look at this hermit and they'd laugh and say, oh, what's he doing? He's not doing anything. He's a bit useless. He's a silly old man with a long beard and he's just walking along by himself. What's he doing? I'm working, I'm achieving this, I'm doing that, I'm getting this. He's not doing any of that. What he's doing is really, really important. Very, very important, because what he achieves after he has that center of self is going to be a lot more meaningful to him internally. It's not going to be about, oh, I'm buying this house to show off to this person, or I'm getting this car to show off to this neighbor, or I'm doing this so that I look good to the outside world. No, he doesn't care about how he looks to the outside world. Look at him. He's in these big robes and a big beard and everything. He doesn't care what he looks like. He cares about himself internally, and everything he achieves externally is what he truly wants from his inner core. That's what I'm getting in that. I think that's the process you're going through. And I think if you're having a lot of stresses about backwards and forwards things, do I want that? Do I not? Do I want to have that thing or not? Do I really want to make that decision or not? That's because a lot of your decisions that you're trying to make might not come from your inner core. So you have to find that first and then make the decisions. I'm not saying don't make any decisions and sit there like a hermit forever and not do anything. That's not what I'm saying. It's a process that you need to do while you're in the world, obviously. But that's just something to think about. That's what I'm seeing in that Hermit card. I really hope that made sense to you. Okay, so the next card you have your presence, the Three of Wands. Okay, this is what I'm seeing in this. This is obviously the card of waiting. I'm seeing a few things here. I think you might be waiting for something. You might not be taking it all that seriously. It might have something to do with what I'm seeing in the Hermit card. It might not be what you truly want. I think you've started to do research on whatever this is. And it feels a little bit half-hearted. It's like, I want this, but I don't know. You're having all of that. So again, firstly, go back to your center, go back to your core, meditate, think about all of that. And then I think the right things will come to you. And the other thing to think about is if what this thing is, if it doesn't give you that fiery feeling that I was seeing in the Three of Cups, it might not be the right thing for you. So that's something you have to think about as well. Not always. I don't want to tell you what to do. We can lose our enthusiasm for a lot of different reasons, but have a think about that as well if that resonates with you. The other thing I'm seeing in this card is someone's absolutely, definitely thinking about you. They're thinking about you. They're hoping for you. It's very strange. They're in two minds as well. Yeah, I think they've been thinking about you for a while. I think at one time they might have felt as if they put a lot of work in to be able to see you or just to be around you. You're not around them now. You're not there now, but I think they're still thinking about you. They're thinking about you all the time, actually. And this isn't about whether this is right or wrong, but this is what they're thinking about you. This isn't what I'm thinking. This is what I think they're thinking about you. I think that they're thinking that they put more effort in, and they put a lot of effort in, and you just put a little bit of effort in, and they feel as if they put more in than you. That's what I'm seeing. I know I was a bit long-winded when I was explaining that. I'm trying to get my head around what I'm seeing and trying to put what I'm seeing into words. So the big word I'm getting here is accommodating. So it's like they're thinking something like, I was really accommodating. I did everything to accommodate this person, and they didn't appreciate, they didn't do anything for me back. They didn't give me anything back. I'm really upset. I'm really hurt about that, but I still think about them. And that's what I'm getting. So now if I feel that way about someone, and I've been in that situation where I've given a lot to someone, I didn't get anything back, they treated me terribly. So I was like, well, I'm not going to do any more for them. I'm just going to move on. Goodbye. They're not doing that. It's like they're not happy with you, but they're still not moving on. That's what I'm seeing. So they've still got this kind of thing going on in their head, this kind of, I feel this way. I still have a lot of feelings for them, but I'm still really annoyed with them, on the other hand. That's what I'm getting coming from them. Okay, so the last card you have your presence, the Eight of Cups. Okay, so yeah, this is exactly the same thing I'm seeing here. Sorry, I hope I didn't scratch the microphone. I just scratched myself. Sorry about that. I keep on touching my microphone without realizing it. I don't mean to. I'm moving my hands all over the place. You can't see them when I'm talking. Okay, so yeah. Same thing again in this card. I think you actually might have had this exact same card in your last reading, actually. So again, you're not around this person. You're not talking to them. I don't think they're talking to you either. They're definitely still thinking about you, and they're still very emotional. This is a big wall of cups here, and they're watching you. They're probably watching you from far away. Sometimes when I look at this card, I see this wall of cups. There's a gap in the wall, and I think the exact same thing, the exact same scenario actually was in your last reading, because I'm getting big deja vu coming back to me. It's like I was here before. So they're looking at you through this gap of emotion. So once again, if you know who this is, they still watch you, probably on social media or whatever, wherever you are, if you're on whatever platform you're on. They'd love to speak out, I think. They want to do that. They'd love to be able to clear the air. There's something that they feel that's still hanging around in the air, and they'd love to clear that. There's some bad feeling. Something's not quite finished for them. It's hanging around. but they can't do that. There's still a lot of fear around them as well. So again, they're kind of on one side, on the other side, full of contradictions. Fear, it's like, I want to do this, I want to talk to them, but there's this fear around this. I want to clear the air, I'm kind of afraid. So these two things are kind of going around and around in the head, a little bit like this man's going around this hill. To me, when I see this, it's like he's going around and around. So yeah, they're emotional, they're struggling, and they've still got all these contradictions in their head. That's what I'm seeing in that card. All right, so the first card you have, your future, is the Queen of Cups. Okay, so there's also someone else here. I'm seeing a different person again. So you've got three main people in this card. You've got the shady person in the Seven of Wands. You've got this person who probably a love connection, or it was, or something, in the Eight of Cups and the Three of Wands. And you've got this other person again here that I'm seeing again. And I'm having very, very warm, very lovely feelings when I look at this. The Queen of Cups, she's a very emotional, very sensitive person. So there's someone else here in this card. They'd love to be around you. I'm not seeing a love connection here. This is someone who's really, really caring. And I think what I'm getting is I'd like to see them. I'd like to see them. So they'd like to see more of you. They have a few health problems around them, I think, but I don't think that's what's stopping them from being near you. And they're well loved. A lot of people love this person. Children love this person. Just look at this card. There are these two cherubs on the back of her throne. These two little children, they look like babies. They're absolutely gorgeous. And they're kind of looking over the back of her and they're watching her with all this love. It's like, oh, I'm sitting here, I'm kind of almost asleep, like little babies almost asleep, and have their eyes open and they're just looking at you. And it's like, oh, I love this person. I put all my trust in this person. And, you know, I just adore them. They're always there. When I see their face and I wake up, I smile. That's the kind, it's just two little tiny babies. They're so beautiful. And so maybe they have children. If they do, these children absolutely love them. But what I'm seeing is there's a little bit of discontent around them, and that's because they want to see more of you. I keep on getting this, I want to see you, I want to see you. I don't know if you're going to see them. If you're not, I would try to see them as soon as I possibly can. That might be happening, actually. I don't know. You might be visiting them. I don't know. I just saw that. You know, talk to them more often. I think you do talk to them, but you just talk to them a bit more often. See them a bit more often if you can. I can see that you're busy in this whole reading, but see them a bit more often than you can. Talk to them a lot. They just want to be around you. They just want to be around you. That's what I'm seeing. So the next card you have for your future is the Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, again, here's this shady person. This is what I'm seeing. Here's this shady person in the Seven of Wands. They're going to keep on contacting you. Sorry, I think I touched my microphone again then. I'm really sorry about that. I'm going to try and keep my hands away from it. Yeah, so they're going to keep on contacting you, or they're going to try to. I don't know. They're going to try to keep talking to you a little bit more. I think they still have, at this time, they still have this silly, misguided idea that you're not as intelligent as you actually are. What I'm seeing is, I actually think something's going to come out. It's going to be like one word or something they say, and it's suddenly going to become really obvious that their intentions aren't great. And I think you knew this all along. That's what I was seeing in the Seven of Wands. I'm getting this, I'm getting this really embarrassing feeling. So it's like they're probably going to embarrass themselves. A word's going to come out, they're going to say something, and it's going to be very embarrassing. And then they're going to say, oh, this kind of exposes me. That's kind of the thing I'm seeing. Because what's standing out to me in this card again is the yellow. It's an overwhelmingly yellow card, and yellow can represent intellect. So you're very intelligent, and they don't see that once again. And also, if you look at this card, if you look at his helmet, there's growth coming out of his helmet. There's kind of a plant coming out of his helmet. So there's growth coming out of his brain. He's very fertile in his brain. He has a lot of thoughts. He's very smart. So I actually think after this kind of embarrassing conversation, or whatever this is, I think they're actually going to be really quiet after that, and they're not going to come towards you anymore. They're not going to say any more, like this knight who's just sitting here, he's not doing anything. So I don't think you're going to get any more action, any more talk, anything else out of them after they have this embarrassing conversation, or they say whatever this is. That's what I'm saying, and I'm laughing because it's embarrassing. Okay, so the last card you have for your future is the Queen of Swords. So yeah, again, this card can also be about being really intellectually sharp as well with this sword. She's a very, very smart woman. She doesn't take any nonsense. She knows what's coming up to her. It's like, I know what's going on. I know what's going on. I can tell whether you're naughty or nice, like Father Christmas. And I'm going to stand here with my sword and say, okay, I know what you're about. I decide whether I let you close to me or not. That's why I've got this sword. That's what she's like. She's very smart. She's also very emotionally sharp. So it's almost like you have this sixth sense. So again, like this queen, you can tell when someone's talking to you for the right reasons and when they're not. And that can be a double-edged sword, sometimes like this sword. Sometimes it can feel good to you. Sometimes it can make you feel a little bit alone. But, I think generally you think you're better off knowing this about people than not. You like to kind of find out things about people. And again, I think after this conversation, this embarrassing conversation, or this word that they say, or whatever this is they say, I keep on seeing this word that they're saying. I don't know what it is. And it repeats itself. It's almost like it's really embarrassing. It's like, this is what I'm seeing. They say whatever this says. And then at that moment, it's like, oh, I've said that. I've exposed myself. Now they know what my intentions are. And it kind of echoes back to them. And like, uh-oh, it's like that. And then they're going to be very quiet after that. So yeah, I think there isn't going to be any need for you to say anything to them. So I think it's going to come out without you having to say anything.